Okay, let's continue working here on this thing. I'm going to activate the tweak tool here. Let me go to my camera view so it's a little bit easier to see. I'm going to activate my tweak tool and turn on my my welding right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. You notice that there's these little triangles that I created here when I beveled this. I'm going to take that and just weld that to the ends right there. So I'm going to do that for all four sides here. Top, bottom, left, and right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back to my back view here. I'm going to go to edge mode. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select this loop of edges that goes right here on that ring. Then I'm going to select this loop of edges. So basically, if I go to my camera view, these two loops that we have on the inside here, I'm going to go ahead and select those. And what I'll do is I'm going to bevel those, and with the bevel tool I can get the thickness here of those rings that are in the image. So I'll get something like this. Looks pretty good. Yeah, that matches up pretty good to the image. So I should end up with something that looks like this. So now I basically have this sort of loop of polygons, two loops of polygons here that represent the rings in the image. Okay? Alright, now that that's done, I'm just going to do a little bit of extra tweaking here. If you notice, these polygons that are over here, those right there on the sides and on the top and bottoms, those right there have a wider spoke. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the knife tool and I'm going to make some cuts right here. One right there, one about right there. Then I'm going to do one maybe about right there. Do one about, maybe that's a little bit too low. So I'm going to do this cut right there. That's going to cut all of those. So basically I should end up with these polygons right here in the top, bottom, and left and right side that make up the thick, wide spokes that are at the ends right there. Okay. Now, once I do that, what I'm going to do is pretty simple. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the border edges of this entire object, those blue edges right there. I'm going to hit Control D to extrude them, and I'm going to scale them out. Something like this looks pretty good. And that's going to make the corners. Okay? Now to make the corners is pretty simple. I'm just going to go to point mode. And what I'll do is, let me see here, I'm going to take, say for example, all of these edges here, all these points I should say, and this one right there. I'm going to go to my context menu and select the weld points to target, and target that one right there in the corner. Okay, so you basically should end up with this point that has all the points in the corner connected to it. So I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead in the video. Go ahead and do that yourself. Remember, select these points here, then select some of these points, and again use the weld points to target command. Select that last point right there, and you should end up with something like that. So go ahead and do that for the rest of the corners, and we'll meet up when we're finished with that. Alright, so I finished doing that. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to take these corners that I created, these vertices right there. So there should be 4 of them, one for each corner. I'm just going to scale them out. Try to eyeball it a bit and get a square shape as best you can. If you can't, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. We're going to fix that later anyway. Okay, so I should end up with something like this. This looks pretty good. Alright. So the next thing to do is to create the holes for the geometry, because there are going to be holes. So for example, in the image, we know that these black areas are areas basically where there's a hole for the vent. So I'm going to go ahead and select all the polygons that belong to those holes. Make sure you select the correct polygons. It'll pay off if you double or even triple check, and just make sure you have the correct polygons selected. So basically, any polygon that doesn't belong to a ring or a spoke, we're going to select them, and then we're going to delete them. So all of these. So I'm going to go to my camera view here, have a quick look at this, and visually confirm or reconfirm that these are the correct polygons to delete. And I think they are, so I'm going to hit delete right there to get rid of them. Should end up with something like this. Alright, so once that's done, we're going to go ahead and clean this up a bit and get rid of some unnecessary geometry. So I'm going to go to edge mode. I'm going to take this edge here, that edge right there. I'm going to go to the side and take these edges that I don't need. Here's some more that I don't need. and there should be a couple more here that I don't need. Okay, I'm going to hit delete to get rid of those because we just don't need them. There's another one right there. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'll probably take this edge here and this edge, which I don't really need, on the top, bottom, left, and right side. Get rid of those. Then I'm going to go to my tweak tool. Make sure that your vertex welding is turned on. I'm going to weld that to the corner over there, and this one to the corner over there. I'm going to take this one to the top and this one to the bottom. Basically, I'm just cleaning this up. The tweak tool lets us do this very quickly, which is awesome. All right. Once that's done, what I'm going to do is pretty simple. I'm just going to pull this out a little bit, try to get that squarish type shape going here. Alright, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the Alt key. Remember how we moved the pivot point in the past? We're going to do that. So we're reusing some of the old techniques. Basically, I want to snap this to that vertex that's right there in that corner, just so it's on the same plane. Now, I'm going to come over here to this view, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the entire object here, and I'm going to kind of move it back into position how it was, kind of eyeball it a little bit and try to get it into position as best as possible. I'm going to use the tweak tool, and this time I'm going to turn my vertex welding off. Make sure your vertex snapping is on. I'm just going to snap this like so, right there. Okay, now this one over here is not snapped correctly, but I can fix that pretty easily. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this vertex here, and the MCP for the translation here, I can see that the X and Y coordinates, okay, are set to basically 0.8027 for the X, and for the Y it's 2.0208. So I'm going to copy the Y, okay, and take this vertex here. I'm going to paste that number there, take COG off. Now, if you notice when I pasted the number, it didn't actually do anything. That's because I'm in view mode. Let me switch over to global mode. Okay, there we go. That's what I need. So I'm going to take the Y parameter here, copy that, take this vertex, paste that number, and it should be on the same exact plane that it's supposed to be. I'm going to do the same thing for this one up here. I'm going to steal the Y coordinate, which is 3 point something something something. I'm going to paste that right there, and we should end up with that. Now to make these two even over here, I'm going to select those. I'm going to go ahead and turn off vertex snapping and turn on grid snapping. I'm going to make sure global's on. I'm going to make sure COG is turned off. I'm going to hold down Control and snap that to the grid. And I'm going to bring this to about here. And if I look at my camera view, looks like I may have messed something up right there. Yep, looks like I did. I'll fix that in a moment. I need to move this over to it covers up the hole right there, okay? Alright, what I'm going to do here is, let me see. This vertex was actually supposed to go snapped back there. And this vertex is supposed to go snapped right there. Which means that this vertex is now in the, let me see, it's actually in the right place. So that vertex is good. This vertex, however, is not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Z coordinate, which is the blue, steal it from that one, and give it to this one. And there we go. Problem solved. That's fixed right there automatically, and we're good right there. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Edge Mode, and I'm going to select the border edges that go on the outside of this thing. You can see right there. Hit Control D to extrude, and I'm going to pull these edges out. And you can pull them in as far as you want. I'm going to pull them in about that much. Then I'm going to use the Add Edit Polygon tool. So if I go over here to Polygon Mesh, you'll see that there's an Add Edit Polygon tool. N is the keyboard shortcut for that. And I'm just going to go ahead and add a polygon there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that polygon, grow the selection one time, so I have basically that box of polygons in there. I'm going to go ahead and extract that and hit delete. Extract and delete. Freeze modeling. I'm going to take all the polygons from that thing, and I'm going to go to my context menu and select invert polygons to flip them inside out so they're facing on the inside. So basically we have that box in there, and that's basically an area where in real life the power supply and things like that would be, the fans, some cables, things like that. So what I'm going to do now is take this guy and give this some thickness. So the way to do that pretty easily is if I hit E for edge mode and I come over here to this little black arrow, remember where we found Polygon Island? I'm going to select border edge mode over here. And by doing that, when I select edges, I only select border edges, which is what I want. That's a huge time saver. So I'm going to come in here and select the border edges that are on the inside here. So basically these. And if I go and I isolate this selection, these are the edges I want. The inside border edges, not the outside. And with those selected, it's very, very, very easy. All I do is hit Control D to extrude. I'm going to pull these out, give it as much thickness as you want. I'm going to go with something like this, which looks pretty good. Okay, that's fine. And that gave it some thickness automatically, and it's looking good. There we go. We're pretty much done with this. Let me go ahead and exit that. Yeah, we are. We're pretty much finished with that fan. I don't think there's anything more to do to that fan. Okay, so I'm going to say that we're done. I'm going to take all that stuff and freeze modeling to clean it up. Maybe I'll rename this as well. Call this rear fan vent, just so it's easier to find in case we have to look for it. And we're pretty much done here. So in the next video, we'll continue working on other details. We still have a lot more to go.